Hello and welcome to the Philosopher's Angle, your daily French philosophical take on the news headlines. This is an AI-generated podcast based directly on the writings of the philosophers discussed, but like all AI, it can make mistakes. In the news today, November 16th, 2024, two of Donald Trump's cabinet choices are facing uncertainty over their confirmations due to sexual misconduct allegations. Pete Hegseth, nominated as Defense Secretary, was investigated for a 2017 sexual assault allegation, which he claims was consensual. Matt Gaetz, nominated as Attorney General, has faced a 2-year Department of Justice investigation into sex trafficking allegations, including having sex with a 17-year-old minor. The House Ethics Committee report on Gaetz's conduct is being sought by senators, despite his resignation from the House. Trump's own history of abusive behavior towards women has also been highlighted, including an $83 million damages payment to writer E. Jean Carroll for sexual assault and defamation. Commentary inspired by the writings of Bruno Latour, The Commodification of Consent, How Power Dynamics Shape Agency. As the latest scandals surrounding Donald Trump's cabinet choices unfold, it has become painfully evident that the notion of consent has devolved into a mere commodity, subject to the whims of those in power. This phenomenon is not an isolated incident, but rather a manifestation of a deeper societal malaise. As I reflect on these events through the lens of my work, particularly in We Have Never Been Modern and Reassembling the Social, I am struck by how the modernist settlement's rigid dichotomy between humans and non-humans has led to a profound misunderstanding of agency and consent. The news story shines a light on two individuals, Pete Hegseth and Matt Gaetz, who have been accused of sexual misconduct. The power dynamics at play in these situations are jarringly apparent, laying bare the stark reality of how the notion of consent can be distorted when one party wields significant social, economic, or cultural influence over the other. In such cases, the capacity for giving or withholding consent becomes severely impaired, rendering it a mere formality. This is where my concept of attachments comes into play. Attachments are the intricate web of relationships that bind various actors in a network together, imbuing it with strength and resilience. However, these attachments can also be exploitative, particularly when there are significant power imbalances at play. In the context of sexual misconduct allegations, these attachments can manifest as coercive relationships, where one party is able to exert their influence over the other with alarming ease. The ontological politics of these situations is equally revealing. As I argue in Politics of Nature, ontological politics is about how collectives are assembled and disassembled through the circulation of entities. In this case, the collective being assembled is that of a powerful individual, with the ability to shape the narrative around their actions. The entities circulating in this collective are those of power, influence, and coercion, which serve to further entrench the perpetrator's position. The commodification of consent is also deeply intertwined with patriarchal norms. As I argue in We Have Never Been Modern, modernity has been built on a rigid separation between humans and non-humans. This separation has led to a profound neglect of the ways in which human relationships are always already entangled with non-human entities, such as institutions, structures, and systems. In the context of sexual misconduct allegations, this separation allows perpetrators to distance themselves from their actions, claiming that they were simply exercising their agency. However, agency is never exercised in a vacuum. As I demonstrate in Reassembling the Social, human relationships are always already mediated by a complex web of attachments and entities. The power dynamics at play in these situations reveal how these attachments can be exploited to distort the notion of consent, creating a microcosm of the broader societal issues at play. Ultimately, the commodification of consent reveals a profound failure of our societal norms. It highlights how we have failed to recognize the ways in which agency is always already entangled with power dynamics, patriarchal norms, and ontological politics. As we move forward, it is essential that we reassemble our understanding of consent, recognizing how it is shaped by these complex factors. In doing so, we may finally begin to dismantle the systems of oppression that have allowed perpetrators to exploit and distort the notion of consent for far too long. thereby addressing a symptom of a deeper disease that has plagued our society for centuries. Thank you for listening to today's episode of The Philosopher's Angle. Be sure to come back tomorrow for another reflective take on the day's news.